Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur. And in year 8, we're taking head-on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. Tonight on the show, we're bringing you 2 game changers, Sminu Jindal and Sowing New Futures. Our first game changer tonight is with Sminu Jindal. She's a champion not only when it comes to India Inc., but also a champion when it comes to promoting causes related to easy accessibility for people with restricted mobility. It's my pleasure to welcome Sminu. She's joining us on the show live tonight. Sminu, good that you could take the time to join us here on the show. And my question to you really is about Svayam, first off. Notice that you launched this organization in the year 2000. What can you tell us about that?
Swayam, like it says, it really means a search of self. And it started with me being on a wheelchair. I met with a car accident when I was 11. And when I joined work, I really, in that whole period of my life, I felt I was probably the only one on a wheelchair, which was seen out there in the world. And as I sort of became more aware, and as I grew up, I realized that there are not many people who get the chance of being out there in the world. And for me, the reason was probably people didn't know about the things that the government is doing or what people were doing. So we started with Svayam as a portal, which gave information to people in their own surroundings, at their homes. What are the things that government offers, what are the various schemes that are available, and I also wanted to talk about job opportunities, marriage portal, etc. at that time. And during the journey I realized there were no job opportunities and there were nobody who was even applying for one. And it set me wondering, why is it that people are not coming forward to be employed? And to my dismay, I realized that it's not that I'm the only one on a wheelchair in the whole country. It's actually people don't get an accessible infrastructure to be able to come out of their homes, have a transport that helps them get to their place of work or leisure, and be able to lead a quality life. And that's when we forayed into a more positive and a more hands-on role by starting Svayam to talk about accessibility in infrastructure and transport. Accessibility is another name for ease of being able to go from one place to another. And I realized that accessibility affects so many of us, but we are afraid to ask for it.
Sminu, you're fighting what I would think is a very lonely battle, given really the landscape here in India when it comes to easier and better accessibility for people with restricted mobility. But you are working tirelessly, with the government, with various government departments, with India Inc. Why is that crucial for you? Are there more organizations like yours? Are there more individuals like yours that are also doing, things along similar lines, are promoting similar causes? Anything you can tell us?
I would like to clear this conception that accessibility affects only the disabled. It actually affects each one of us. When we go through a tough pregnancy, we are made to sit at home and not be able to go out. When we have elderly parents, and as caregivers, it makes our life that much more difficult. If things were accessible, things were safe, and we would be able to go out and have a life. Getting in touch with the government and policy makers is a very important step, because you first must have rules that must exist for us to really demand them for being implemented. So at least what Swayam did was to force the governments and to help them look and understand how big this issue is. All we do at Svayam is try and wake them up today, because there is an immense opportunity for us to work with the different governments that come and go, for us to demand a better way of entry and exit in different places.
We were talking earlier about, why India is not a place that is necessarily very friendly when it comes to accessibility for those who are differently abled. My question to you is, for someone who's watching this interview who says, yes, I do want to make my workplace more accessible, friendly, more accessible, what would you say are some of the urgent things that they need to start putting in place to do that?
There are a lot of initiatives that we have started at Svayam. One is my current campaign on social media called Yahan Se Wahan Tak. The whole idea behind it is to make every space accessible. Along with that, there are a lot of things that are happening right now. For me, rural accessibility is as important as much it is for the cities. Then there are so many things which are still remaining to be done, like railways. Railways are still not accessible, and to get in and out of a railway bogie is still a nightmare for most of us. Accessibility is a very major theme that if we don't talk about it today, it would be too late tomorrow. Accessibility in pedestrian pathways, in zebra crossings, foot over bridges, underpasses is as important as it is for a regular person as much it is for a disabled person. We've got a big population. Unfortunately, there are at least 40% of us sitting behind doors, absolutely unproductive, either due to age or any kind of physical condition. Let's help each one of us unleash the power that is within us.
You're working extensively, I understand, to bridge the gap between inaccessibility and mobility, and you're also providing several services along those lines to customers. Can you tell us more on that?
Svayam is in the game of actually making people aware, and a very big part of that awareness is definitely having them help them understand what is accessibility. So Svayam does help. Initially it did help with accessibility audits and to help people understand that very little changes are required to make the existing infrastructure accessible. And we do help in helping people understand how an accessible toilet really changes lives. You would be surprised to know that there are 80% of people who have bad injuries in bathrooms because they slip and fall. So making them accessible is absolute necessity. When we talk about accessibility, we start talking about our homes being made accessible. Toilet is a very important part of that. Public places accessible. Toilets are again a very important part of that. But we don't limit ourselves to toilets. We talk about accessibility of transport mediums like buses, trains, airplanes. We also talk about public buildings, housing complexes, parks, Marine Drive in Mumbai, temples, churches. I don't think we don't talk about accessibility in any area, but what we do is try and raise awareness, talk about the best practices that are carried out world over. So we talk about universal designs, and we try to demystify what accessibility is all about, so it seems within reach to a common man. To make your own building accessible, there is very little that is required. You need wider doors, you need ramps. Make sure there are no ramps, no stairs before an elevator. That's a common mistake that we all do, is we do have elevators, but we've got 6 stairs before we reach the elevator. So let's not make that mistake. Have a proper gradient ramp, and most importantly, have an accessible toilet, and your building is completely accessible.
Whenever conversations around changing workspaces to make it more accessible come up, companies always point to the cost issue, saying it's more expensive to have such workspaces. How do you really take that on? How do you really answer that, particularly when large companies are doing it? Then what about smaller companies which perhaps are also having similar questions?
This is a very apt question that you've asked me, and it's kind of a little bit hilarious because it's really talking about making, at one time when we used to have big corporate houses, they used to talk about costs and the benefits attached to it when they talked about women toilets, because it was a very, very man-oriented world, and women were not really there in the corporate world. So here again, when we talk about accessibility, the cost will definitely come in, but it is as important to do it as it was to separate women toilets from men. So it is just as expensive and just as important to do so. Also, there's a misnomer when people say that they want accessible environments and they talk about costs. What is the opportunity lost cost for a person who could have provided opportunity of work, of increasing income, not only for themselves but other people? In my journey, I've come across very brave people who are disabled themselves, but not only are they earning themselves, they're making other people earn. Every time we go out, even as an elderly, we may not be really providing a job, but we just go out for picnic. We buy bottle, we buy ice creams, we make economic activities happen. Don't underestimate when we become older, we have enough money to buy the world, but we are unable to do so because we are unable to get out of our homes.
Sminu Jindal, such a pleasure having you here on the show tonight. We'll take a quick break on that note. On the other side, Sowing New Futures is in focus. Do stay tuned. Back in just a bit. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. And tonight on Game Changers, our second company in focus is Sowing New Futures. Delhi-based social enterprise Sowing New Futures does exactly what its name suggests. This is a small-scale organization in the women's garment space. What they're doing differently, however, is by hiring former sex workers, giving them the opportunity to literally sow a new future for themselves by providing rehabilitation and, of course, work. Mansi Chokse has more.
In a small community near Delhi, sex work is an accepted profession for married women. Girls are forced into the flesh trade to become the breadwinner of their marital household.
मेरी शादी हरियाणा में हुई है और मैं वहाँ से यहाँ पर दिल्ली में रह रही हूँ जॉब के लिए, सिलाई के लिए, कि मैं अपना खुद से कुछ सीखूँ, कुछ करूँ। मेरी 16 साल की उम्र में शादी हो गई थी। तब हमें इतना कुछ नॉलेज भी नहीं थी, पढ़ाई क्या है क्या नहीं है, इसे कुछ भी नहीं पता था। लेकिन अब सेंटर में आने से जो दीदी हमें सिखाती हैं, समझाती हैं, उससे हमें भी लगता है कि हमें भी पढ़ना चाहिए, हमें भी कुछ करना चाहिए दुनिया को देख के। भाई कुछ भी मेरा लड़का है, मैं 10वीं क्लास के फॉर्म भर रही हूँ 10th के ओपन से पेपर के लिए।
Sowing New Futures, a Delhi-based social enterprise, is trying to change this by providing training, support and jobs to these women. Established in 2014, Sowing New Futures produces sustainable fashion and sells it on online platforms in India and abroad.
So Sowing New Futures was founded truly as a passion project of the members that founded the organization. And as we have grown in size and acquired new women to our program, we found that we've needed to scale and grow and find new niches within the market to really sell our items. And so one of the things that we've been focusing on is ethical fashion branding. And we find items that are cast-offs from the garment industry, and we also collect saris that no one else wants anymore. And then we repurpose those into new clothing for women. So we make palazzo pants out of saris that were formerly worn by other people. And this also supports other women-run businesses in Delhi. We source our saris from a woman's company, and then we remake them into pants, and then we sell them to women in Delhi and also internationally.
With a small team in India and in the US, Sowing New Futures is leveraging its profits and grants to provide former sex workers with education and professional training to help them stitch a new future bit by bit.
So we do fundraising from a couple of different angles. We take individual donations, and we also do crowdfunding. One organization is called Caring Crowd, which does funding specifically for organizations that have a heart, organizations that are working towards health and welfare of individuals. And this campaign allows us to raise funding to cover many of our programs that are outside of the Sewing Center. We also have a crowdfunding campaign going on with millap.org at the moment as well. And in 2019, we're really hoping to break into the corporate CSR in India as well as a way to gain more funding.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. The very first Center for Sowing New Futures was established back in 2014. Tell us something about this journey that you had been through, and what was the core idea behind this organization?
Okay, so yeah, we started in 2014. I have grown up in outer Delhi area, where I came to know that something going on in my neighborhood, that there is a specific community which work in intergenerational prostitution. So a girl, when she is 15 to 16, she got married, and after her marriage she need to work for her livelihood, and so they are not trained, they don't have any jobs and any skills. So that community has picked up prostitution as their livelihood source. Then we decided to do something for them where we can create jobs for them, and so we all discussed that what we can do at that moment and where they can easily join us, because sometimes their family do not allow them, because if they will do something else, that will definitely affect their income. It was difficult to enroll them in sewing program earlier, so but still we decided to do something simple, and sewing was easy for them, and yeah, so we created our own social enterprise to work for them and create jobs for them.
Though Sewing New Futures is a not-for-profit organization, it does generate revenues.
Yeah.
So tell me something about the business model of the organization.
Yeah, so we are registered trust, that means, and we also have GST and export license. So that means we can collect donations and can sell our products in country and abroad also. So whatever we are getting through sales, that revenue we are using in two different ways. One is we are we are using that money for growing our own business model and increasing our skill level, and as we have some we need some more advanced machines so that we can do some complicated orders also. So we need to grow that way, using half of that in for that purpose, and rest we are utilizing the money for community welfare, because these women, we are doing education classes for their younger ones so that we can keep them in school, and when they finish we can find better jobs for them, because that is not possible that sewing is the best thing for everyone. So for future we are trying to create more job options for them and doing other things for their families. So this revenue is benefiting them directly and indirectly, both ways.
Tell us about the market you're catering to through the products created by Sewing New Futures.
Yes, so we are a small organization and trying multiple ways to survive and to grow. So one thing, we are selling our products, we are participating in all melas all around Delhi where we can easily participate, and another thing, we are doing sales on our own website and have listed us on Amazon also, and we have some regular clients, and we are doing some corporate orders also. We also have some volunteers who are helping us in selling things in USA. Some interns, as I told you that we have export license, so we are selling some stuff out of country also.
Tell us something about the biggest challenges you faced during the operations of this organization.
Yeah, being a small organization, we had to face so many challenges, and some of them we are still facing. And so yeah, if I talk about that, we started with a paid training earlier, and so these girls are coming from a community where they have lots of suffering and pain. Almost everyone has their own different story, so it's challenging sometimes to train them, and we cannot be very hard and tough with them because they already have lots of pain. We don't want them to get hurt and to get demotivated. So keeping them motivated is challenging for us. Keeping them trained for working professionally, that is also challenging because they have very less experiences in life. Another thing is competing with some professionally designed products in market is also challenging for us, being a very small team.
How effective are social media and digital platforms to spread awareness about sex trafficking and to gain market traction when it comes to products like yours?
Initially, I told you that we are working in outer Delhi area where people are not understanding this issue. So definitely we are dependent on social media, which can, so that we can reach to the people who actually care about this issue. Because here people feels that they are doing this as per their own wish. They can do many other things if they want. But when you will work with them closely, you will find out that they have lots of issues. No one is doing this by their own wish. They get forced because of the situation. And so yeah, we are finding that we are getting our more and more contacts from Instagram and Google search. So, and we got many volunteers who are helping with us. Earlier we were very small group, and as I told you that we have some volunteers in USA also.
Give me a sense of the purview of work being done by Sewing New Futures. How is this organization helping in the rehabilitation of former sex workers?
We started in 2014 with paid training because the women are the main earner in these families. So that was not possible for them to come and join us without any money. Their family will not allow them. So we had to start with paid training. That was little difficult for us to arranging all training and paying them stipends and all. So but we trained 25 women in first year, and most of them get employed with us after finishing their training, and they are still with us. So our daily routine is like we do training in morning. There is 1 hour training we are arranging for them. Sometimes it's from internal staff, and sometimes we are having someone from outside to do trainings, and then they do production all day. They have cutting in charge and people who help them, and in evening we are arranging education classes for them. They are now they are appearing in 10th standard, so they all are dropouts in 5th and 6th standard. So this year we are going to have them finish at least 10th standard so that they can apply in other production house and can do some advanced training, because some of them are doing trainings from outside. We are arranging some fashion designing course for them, but because of their education level they are not able to get theory part and appear in exams. So working on that part too.
Tell us something about the projects that are in the pipeline.
Yeah, so we earlier we were making dresses only for women, and that gave us a little small market, and we were doing simple dresses, some for foreigner ladies, and right now we are trying to get some local orders and making some uniform and some gents garments. So we have arranged Master Ji, who is coming 3 days in a week to the center and teaching them to make gents garments. And right now we are making some new Indian and Western kurta style, which will be on our website soon.
I wish you all the best.
Completely out of time on this episode tonight. If you want to be featured like one of the game changers here tonight on the show, do get in touch. Our contact details up on your screens in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.